Residents of Emfuleni in Gauteng vented their service delivery frustrations on social media over the weekend. Communities such as Sebokeng, Evaton and Sharpville, which all fall under the municipality, complained about a lack of water and electricity, among other issues. Poor service delivery has been ongoing for years in that area. Last month, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Co-operative Governance and Traditional Affairs criticised the municipality for its lack of procurement, oversight and failed financial controls. Rand Water have reduced water pressure by 20% to non-paying municipalities, as they are owed around 100 million rand in the province, including Emfuleni. We're now joined by Councillor Bheki and Ntsele. He is the MMC for Basic Services in the Emfuleni Local Municipality. Councillor, thanks very much for joining us. I know you're struggling with connection issues, but I'm glad that we're able to at least speak to you on the line.
Morning, Leanne, and morning to the listeners.
And unfortunately, the reason that you're unable to connect is due to a lack of power. And you're not alone, because all of your residents are going through the same issue. What is going on with the power supply in your municipality?
Yes, I must start by apologizing to our residents the way it has happened, that we are not able to provide consistent quality service in terms of electricity supply. What happened, Leanne, is that on Friday we had a cable fault in a substation that is supplying Amazon to the pump station, rainwater pump station. And that pump station is feeding the reservoir, Langeran Reservoir. Also that reservoir is feeding the high-lying areas of Sebokeng, Township, Evaton and other areas. And because of that cable fault, it means then the levels are going down, and as the water demand increases, and then the level is depleted. Hence, we are where we are now. But yesterday, we were able to fix the cable, and we were able to restore power in Sonland Park. But what has also taken place is that Eskom has shared some load in that area to an extent that on a normal day, we are having 550 amperage. But now, when we switch on rainwater and the township like Sonland Park and Falcon Ridge, that are fed by that substation, and then it keeps on tripping. It means then we will have to rotate power supply in the meantime while we are dealing with that problem, while the leadership of the municipality is engaging Eskom in that regard.
But what is the problem at the end of the day? So yes, you talk about a cable problem. This is nothing new. I mean, this is not something that suddenly developed on Saturday. This is something that's been going on for a very, very long time. What is at the heart of the problem when it comes to supplying electricity to your residents in this area?
What is the heart of the problem is that our infrastructure has collapsed. What it means that for years, historically, we did not maintain our infrastructure properly, but hence we are now, what we have done now is to understand that we need to maintain our infrastructure. Hence, this financial year, we are able to set aside 66% of the revenue to maintain the infrastructure in accordance with the NESA regulations.
MMC.
So in the past years, we are having the infrastructure that is aging.
MMC, there is a line in your answer that you said that you have realized that you need to maintain infrastructure. This is the basic. This is basics, Councillor. I mean, for goodness sakes, this is something that you should have been doing all along. We're looking at visuals coming in from the municipality where I am just talking to you about like electricity. What about sewerage that has been seeping through the roads, into houses, into churches, into schools and making the residents of your area sick? What about the fact that water is not being run there, that you're not paying your bills? This is, I mean, and you're talking to me about you've just realized that you need to maintain infrastructure. That's something you should have been doing for years, Councillor.
Agreeing, Leanne. I think it's not only the democracy that did not maintain the infrastructure. Remember the network that we are talking about. is 50 to 60 years old. It was not maintained. We did not increase the capacity, even though the township was expanding. There are new townships that came and were joined into the grid, but the capacity thereof was not increased. So it's historical. It's not only a democracy that did not maintain, but also the apartheid system did not maintain.
Yeah.
But we are not blaming it. What we are saying is that we need to start maintaining our infrastructure, increasing the capacity, making sure that we are providing those services.
Councillor, I fail to accept the answer that you're giving me, telling me that this is historical. Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Co-operative Governance and Traditional Affairs has described the municipality as absolutely dysfunctional. The Auditor General has previously described you as among the worst performing. Why is it difficult to run this municipality in a proficient manner? You cannot blame only the past. You should have been fixing these things while you're there.
Leanne, I think you will appreciate that, yes, indeed, we are agreeing that there are problems, teething problems that we have not attended in time. But as a growing town, we are having a multiplicity of problems because we are ever growing, and also there are problems of poverty. You could have seen that the State South Africa said that the level of poverty in the valley is 60%. Now, while you are dealing with other matters like poverty, unemployment, when we are having industries living, conducting what we call it retrenchment, you are bound to have that type of a situation in any municipality. So it's a multiplicity. It's not only a statistic matter of, no, we have not done. We have done. In some instances, we have tried to accommodate as much as many people who are joining the system. But indeed, we have not maintained our infrastructure. We agree on that one. Yeah. And we are doing that now, trying to maintain that infrastructure.
You are crying poverty. We know that you are not the CFO. That's another conversation which we need to have, perhaps with the CFO, whose head is actually being called for at this point in time. But let's talk about wasteful expenditure. It's not that the money wasn't there. It's the fact that it has been wastefully spent. What's being done to recover this?
The municipality has set up a disciplinary team that's busy. All those people who are identified who have been involved in corruption and fraud and other issues, they will be going through a disciplinary processes. But I can't talk on behalf of the municipality. I'm just talking on my portfolio as basic services. But I know that there are processes that are taking place to make sure that those monies are being recovered, Leanne.
How? Okay, I'm not going to ask you that because you're going to tell me that you can't answer it. But what you can answer is on the issue of basic services. And this is at the heart of the problem. Now, we picked up the trend that was happening yesterday, talking about Emfuleni must fall. The residents are tired. The residents are living in squalor. And that is because they do not have the basic services. And this falls under your charge. You're in charge of this. This is your reputation on the line. And unfortunately, you are not delivering on the services that you have promised. Would you perhaps decide to step down? Do you think that perhaps you're not fit for this job?
Leanne, let me put it this way. There will be many people who will not be happy about the services that we are rendering. But I must state this. Services are being rendered. They might not be in a rate where it should be, meaning that the quality of services that we are rendering is not sufficient. But people are still getting piped water. People are still getting electricity in some areas. Yes, indeed, we are having some disruption in some stages, but we do render the services. Of it's another matter. Regarding the sustainability of the municipality, we are engaging in getting triple P partners in terms of those service providers who will be assisting us, partnering with us, private sector, to make sure that we get a situation whereby we are able to get to fix the infrastructure that we are having. But also we are having the province working with us doing what we call it the FRP, Financial Recovery Plan, whereby we are going to make sure that the municipality is sustainable. At the same time, we are engaging our communities, those who are not paying, so that they can start paying the municipality, because any municipality will not be able to render services if it's not getting enough revenue from it.
So you're saying that it's due to the residents' non-payment that the situation is like this, and the 1.1 billion rand that's been wastefully expended, with the expenditure, is due to the residents not paying. Councillor, I know that we're not going to talk money with you because you've already pointed that out. That's the CFO. I just want to ask you in conclusion, because we've got a lot more coming from Emfuleni, what about sewerage? Do you have sewerage running outside your house? Because we now have ascertained you don't have power. Do you have sewerage also running down your street that you have to breathe in on a daily basis?
We are having sewer spillages problem, indeed. But you will realize that actually by last year, we partnered with the Department of Water and Sanitation to deal with that issue. But it was unfortunate that at some stage, the implementing agent, which is Evaton, they had a dispute with the department, so their services were terminated. But the department, as we speak, is continuing getting another new implementing agent so that they can start this stopping the sewer spillages. Because what needs to be done is to fix all the 44 pump stations that are servicing Emfuleni. So that process is continuing, but we had hoped that by now we could have been able to stop pollution of the river. But with that dispute, we had a little bit of a delay.
I just want to ask you, because one of the threats that residents in the area have said is that there is a by-election coming up tomorrow and they will not be voting. Why should they vote you back in power? Why do you think that residents should once again come through and give you the vote in order to carry on doing what you're doing?
You see, Leanne, people will be disappointed, we understand. But there has been so many development in the Vaal. And people will know who was responsible for those developments that they are seeing in the Vaal. So I'm just encouraging our people. They might be disappointed, they might not be happy, but they must go and vote. Vaal has grown in size, and Vaal has grown in every sphere, in terms of businesses, new businesses, and whatever that you can think about. It has grown. But yes, dissatisfaction is there, we agree, but people must still exercise their right and go and vote.
Yeah, they must indeed. I just want to ask you one final question, and this is coming in from a viewer and a resident that is basically accusing you of lying, saying that Eskom switched off due to non-payment. He can't talk cable fault, load reduction and tripping in one sense. Again, accusing you of lying. He's saying Eskom does not load reduction in municipality supplied areas like Sonland Park and Falcon Ridge. Load reduction is done in Eskom supplied areas like Sebokeng, Evaton and Orange Farm. Now, one thing we do know as well, which this viewer points out, is that the municipality, the account is attached by a Chinese company through a court. You had commissioned them to do water meters and electricity meters at hundreds of millions of rands. And this is the problem, that you don't have money because of this, and the accounts have now been frozen. This is from a resident, and they're accusing you of lying, Councillor.
Well, I think we're having a right to say whatever he wants to say, but let me put you in the picture. We had a cable problem. Once the cable problem has been fixed, which was yesterday by 9 o'clock in the night, when we wanted to switch all the areas, and then it keeps on tripping. And then we understood that the load that we are getting from Eskom has decreased, because on a normal day, as I just said, we are getting 550 amperages. But at this moment, we are only able to switch Sonland Park, and this morning we wanted to switch Rand Water, and late in the evening switch Falcon Ridge. But it will depend. on Eskom increasing the load that they've just reduced. But that's a matter that the municipality is dealing with at the highest level with the leadership of Red Water. There are negotiations that are taking place as we speak.
MMC, we leave it to the voters. It is, of course, the by-elections happening tomorrow in that area. Councillor Bheki Ntsele, who is the MMC for Basic Services in the Emfuleni Local Municipality, talking to us and giving his reasons as to why there is poor service delivery in that area. All right, we wrap it there.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. All right, let's get into the sports bulletin.